All right, huge movie fanatic Nate coming your way live, unless of course you're listening to this after the fact later on Huge Movie Fanatic Radio. This is episode 2, a week later after episode 1, the first test of it. Basically, I'm doing this at a different time at night to see who shows up for this one. I can't say exactly how long this one's going to go. Might not go an hour. Maybe I'll do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So it's just once again, kind of a test to see who shows up at this hour versus the hour. I mean, I did it like early afternoon my time last time. So this is, it's almost midnight where I am. So we're going to try this and see who shows up. I mean, if no one shows up, I'll probably just, end it at, who knows, 15 minutes or whatever. It depends on if anyone shows up. But until anyone shows up, if anyone does show up, I guess I should probably talk about other things. Last week I talked about my cart on my Vinegar Syndrome, on the Vinegar Syndrome website. And I still, basically I had, what I said last week is I don't even remember anymore. What the hell did I have in my Vinegar Syndrome cart? I had, it definitely for sure, Silent, whatever the hell it's called. Was it Silent Madness? Oh yeah, then Mountaintop Motel Massacre, and then the Splatter University. And having watched, as I said last week, Splatter University, 30 minutes of it on YouTube, I'm like, yeah, I don't need that. So I took it out of the cart, and I also took Mountaintop Motel Massacre out of the cart since I have the Anchor Bay Blu-ray, so or the DVD rather. So I still haven't ordered it because I'm like waiting to see if the Amazon price goes down on the Silent Madness Blu-ray before I order the Vinegar Syndrome one, because I'm just that frugal. So that's basically how that goes. In other exciting Blu-ray, horror movie Blu-ray, upcoming Blu-ray news that I don't think I talked about yet, The Forest is actually coming out on Blu-ray again. It was on Blu-ray. It's already on Blu-ray, but it's out of print. I want to say it was Code Red who put out the Blu-ray, and I did actually end up getting that years ago off eBay. I never talked about it or said anything about it, but I'm just such a huge fan of The Forest. What the hell's his name? I'm such a huge fan of it. I can't remember is it Don Jones, the guy who directed it? The Don Jones early 80s low budget movie that he lost his house over, because of the financing of that particular movie. So I'm a huge fan of that movie. So years ago, I just went for it and got the first Blu-ray, which I think is Code Red, on eBay, and went for it. And it's very exciting to now know that I think it's Code Red again in association with, is it Kino Lorber or something? I don't have it in front of me right now, but who is going to be releasing another Blu-ray of it. So it's out of print. The first Blu-ray of it in North America is out of print, and they're going to be releasing in March, I think, a new Blu-ray of The Forest, which actually has a better cover. The cover looks more like the theatrical poster, which over the years I was looking for on eBay, and I almost got, but then I didn't. But I don't need all these posters. But what's really cool about it, as I said, is it's like the cover for the upcoming Blu-ray of The Forest is really, really much more closer to the original theatrical poster than the first Blu-ray and DVD that were released in North America. So that's a title that's exciting. It was just recently announced that Warner Archive is going to be putting out Pump Up the Volume on Blu-ray, which is something that no one ever probably expected to have happen. I can't say I'm necessarily going to get it. I may. It depends on how much it costs. But I reviewed Pump Up the Volume years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago at this point. Of course, now we're in a new year, so it might be 3 years ago now, if you include this new year that we're now in. So that was very exciting. or that is very exciting news, that Pump Up the Volume is going to be coming out on Warner Archive Blu-ray. Very, very cool, definitely. Yeah, so far no one has showed up, or no one. I think this number one here, I think that's me, from what I know, from what I understand about this thing. It's either me or someone else. I'm not sure. If it's someone else, please say something in the chat. You don't have to, but I think it's just me, this number one. I'm not exactly sure how that works. But yeah, so if no one shows up in, I guess, the next 10 minutes or so, I will probably just stop, I guess. So I guess maybe, I thought maybe this time, my time, it's almost midnight. I thought maybe more people from Europe or something like that might show up, or people who are busy at work in North America might, they were still up late, might show up or whatever. That's okay. It's just a test. If no one shows up for this, I'll probably not, keep this stream. I'll probably just delete the stream, and I can just talk about this same stuff another time. That's probably what I will do. But at this point, just talking to myself, just to see if someone shows up in the first, in the first 15 minutes. If no one does, I shall probably once again call it a stream, and yeah, definitely the plan is in the future to to make it like in like 12, give like 12 hours or 24 hours notice in advance of when I plan to stream, so people know, ahead of time, to if they want to show up or make an effort to show up or whatever. But I'm not exactly sure what else to say. It looks like possibly we have someone who has joined. Welcome. Thank you for joining the stream. The first 7 minutes or so, I've been just talking about exciting new Blu-ray news in regards to, what the hell was it? Pump Up the Volume coming soon this year, I guess, on Warner Archive Blu-ray, and upcoming second release of The Forest, the 1982 film by Don Jones, coming out on Blu-ray once again. I think by it's yeah, without the info right in front of me, I think it's Code Red in association with Kino Lorber possibly is putting out the upcoming Forest Blu-ray, which is really exciting, with the cover art, which is more reminiscent of the theatrical poster for The Forest. In a perfect world, I should have like a list. I'm still a novice at this live radio stuff. In a perfect world, I should have a list in front of me of topics I want to be talking about, but I'm kind of hoping now. I see, there we go, Austin Wilcott. Hi there. I guess maybe I'll keep this stream after all. How you doing there? I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I think I was talking about having, in a perfect world, if I was more prepared, I'd have a, yeah, this one is live currently at the moment. So any questions you want to throw my way, feel free to do so. I'm not exactly how sure or how long I'll be on here. Right as of now, I've been on for like 9 minutes, just mumbling, talking to myself. I feel bad for the people who play these back later on, and it's like for the first 9 minutes of just me mumbling about nothing, waiting for people to show up. Austin Wilcott says, okay, I'll stay on then. Yeah, feel free to do so. Any questions or comments or whatever, we can kind of keep me talking about something, this or that or whatever. I think in the future, as I keep on saying, I'm going to probably have topics written down that I can list off while I'm waiting for people to join or whatever. So I'm not just repeating the same thing over and over. Admittedly, I'm I'm a novice at this live streaming stuff. So one can only assume as they continue to do it, they being me, that I'll get better at it and, have myself more prepared and stuff. And plus it's late at night. And Austin Wilcott says, I got done watching the Friday the 13th replacement disc. Shout Factory did a great job fixing those films. Right on. I've got the, if you watch my video of part 3, which I'm sure you have, I've got the replacements as well. I've only watched the replacement of part 3, and of course they fixed, as I mentioned in my review of that disc, they fixed the 3D issue in the opening credits, which was awesome. So that's great. I'm assuming the you're referring to, did you look at all 3 of them? Did you look at Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X? Did they fix those problems? Yeah, I know. I feel so bad for you guys. I just, that's what I said in the comments of, replying to a comment of the 3D Blu-rays. I just feel so bad for you guys. I can't experience the freaking 3D Blu-ray of part 3 in 3D. It's just like, oh, such a bummer that had to come out like after you can't buy 3D TVs anymore. But as I said in the comments of that review, I think some people are being able to experience in PlayStation virtual reality headset or whatever, but even that is something that's probably not, I mean, I don't know how much expensive that is or how much equipment that requires. Not everyone has, PlayStation 3 or 4 or whatever you need to make that work, but looks like he says just part 9 and 10, but also have the 3D replacement disc as well. I guess my question to you is, did you watch the replacement discs of part 9 and 10, and are the problems of those particular discs, have they been fixed? One can only assume that is the case with those particular titles. Not that it really matters to me, because I'm not by any stretch of the imagination, a Jason Goes to Hell fan. I do like Jason X. I don't really consider it a Friday the 13th movie, or really, I mean, it's fun, and I don't know. For me, it just exists in its own universe, and that's pretty much it. It's just a fun, like, thought of doing something stupid by putting Jason in space or whatever. He says, Austin Wilcutt says, the compound fracture was fully restored and Jason X audio is perfect now. So Austin Wilcutt confirms this. That's very cool. Exactly. Austin Wilcutt says Jason X is bad, but it's fun to watch. I agree. I think just like with Jason Lives, I think it's a movie that definitely knew what it was and had fun with it. And I'm surprised, I was disappointed at, because Todd Farmer, I actually like what he did with it. And I was surprised how bad My Bloody Valentine 3D was, because I thought Jason X was pretty well conceived, and, well, I mean, for what it was pretty well conceived and executed and written, and the jokes were funny and stuff. And it's just like My Bloody Valentine 3D for me just like completely fell flat compared to Jason X. But I can remember, seeing Jason X in the theater with my buddy and girlfriend at the time, and it just being a hoot. At that time we hadn't seen a new, quote unquote Jason movie since frickin' Jason Lives, almost 10 years. So it was really great to see him back, and Kane Hodder once again portraying the role for the final time, which was a bummer. It would have been funny if they would have known that it was Kane Hodder's last time out, and they could have said Jason X, the third final Friday or the third final Kane Hodder appearance, or the final Kane Hodder appearance, something stupid like that would have been funny. Austin Wilcutt says, apparently Jason X was leaked on the net in 1999/2000, and some speculate that's why it flopped. I didn't think it flopped. That's back when I cared about like box office numbers and stuff. And I think on its opening week, it was number 2. I want to say it was number 2, or I don't think it could have been number 1, but it opened well. So, I mean, it's not, obviously it didn't make a lot of money compared to, successful movies, but I don't remember it flopping. I remember it doing well, because right after it came out, then they greenlit Freddy versus Jason and did that. And that was out like the next year. So I don't remember, thinking that it flopped. I think it did pretty well. Austin Wilcutt says Jason X and Freddy versus Jason were the last of the original era of Jason and Freddy. I mean, that's one way to put it. I mean, I kind of think that the original era of Jason ends with New Blood personally, but I'm definitely not going to force my thoughts on anyone else or whatever. But that's definitely an opinion to have. I mean, yeah. He says, well, I guess New Line thought it was a failure because it didn't make money they wanted at the time. Well, yeah, you can never have too much money as a studio, or I guess any corporate entity after all. So, but I was of the opinion back then, when I was following box office numbers and all that crap on boxoffice.com, or there was some website like that, it did better than it was expected to have done. But I can even remember, if you have like the original DVD of Wishmaster on like Kane Hoddett's filmography or something like that, or Robert Englund's filmography, or one of their filmographies, if maybe both, it actually says Freddy versus Jason, or Jason versus Freddy 1998 or something out in there, which is really funny because obviously us fans know that movie has been in the works since, Jason Goes to Hell, or, around that time or whatever. And so it's so funny that it's like on Kane Hodder's or Robert Englund's filmography on the DVD, the first DVD of, what did I say? Wishmaster. So that's kind of a funny factoid. But yeah, the Friday the 13th Blu-ray collection last year was definitely hell of a release, and I've watched part 3, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now in 3D, and it's just like, wow, I still can't believe I'm watching it as I watch it. Austin Wilcott says, I guess Paramount era would technically be the end of 80s era Jason. So yeah, I have to agree with that. Right. For me, yeah, I mean, this is all just personal opinion or whatever, but for me, Friday the 13th, when they stopped calling them Friday the 13th, I mean, that's definitely the end of the era, in my opinion, and that happened after Jason Goes to, or it's late. That happened after, Jason Takes Manhattan. That's why I was saying Jason Takes Manhattan. Oh my God. Can't add this to the bloopers, but you know what I'm saying. And once again, this is just a personal opinion situation or whatever in regards to, eras beginning and ending and all this and that. But yeah, for me, the Friday the 13th films pretty much ended in '89 after the release of Part 8, and anything after that, I mean, it's just like, yeah, whatever. You can take it, and I'm not talking to, yeah, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or anything like that. But yeah, just rambling at this point, about 18 minutes into the stream at this point. Feel free to ask any questions or leave any comments. I'm not exactly sure how long I'm going to be going at this point. Maybe 30 minutes, probably max 45. I'm such an anal son of a gunny. I got to end at a 15-minute increment of time. It's not like I can just end at 34 minutes or something like that. So yeah, I guess the thing I find a little difficult about this situation, live streaming as it were, is the feeling the need to continuously be talking and not have any dead air or whatever. So as I'm waiting for the next comment or question, I'm just kind of like, what the hell do I talk about? But yeah. Before you got here, I was talking about the upcoming Blu-ray release of The Forest coming out in March. The second Blu-ray release of The Forest, the early 80s film by Don Jones, and also just recently announced upcoming Blu-ray of, although this isn't horror related, Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater, and I believe it's Samantha Mathis's first movie as well. And as I said earlier, Pump Up the Volume on Blu-ray is something that I don't think any of us really expected to ever happen. So that's pretty exciting. So as I said earlier on, there's probably other topics I could talk about regarding upcoming Blu-rays and stuff, but like the unprepared SOB I am, I don't have a list or anything in front of me, and I'm afraid my old computer isn't well enough to live stream and also try to look up information online at the same time. So in the future, I will definitely be more prepared or whatever. Once again, this is kind of a test to see who shows up at this later hour, being close to midnight where I am here. Austin Wilcutt says, I just bought Savage Streets Blu-ray recently, not horror per se, but it has its moments. And of course, Linda Blair in it as well. I saw that, I'm guilty to say I streamed that, I think online last winter or something like that. And that was the first time I saw Linda Blair like topless and naked, and that was fun, like in the bathtub or whatever. But and also a pre-boob job Linnea Quigley, and it was, god dang, she's really skinny in that movie, almost like, I don't know, almost too skinny in that movie. But I always like seeing like young 80s Linnea Quigley and stuff, and obviously a nude topless Linda Blair was fun. But not a huge fan of Savage Streets myself, but more power to people who are. As you say, I mean, I will agree, it definitely has its moments. It's just like, personally, I'm not a huge, grimy, dirty city kind of a aficionado, and I'm, don't really like that kind of crap. And also when it has to do with rape and just, punks, just, yeah. So I guess, to make a long story not as long, I guess Savage Streets isn't really up my alley. But as you said, I can definitely agree with it, with you, and it definitely has its moments, is definitely for sure. So I feel like it'd be nice to have like a recording of me talking about random stuff to play while I'm trying to take a breath or whatever. I don't think I'd be a good radio personality. I can't just blab on and on and on and on. Austin Wilcutt says, I have the older Blu-rays of Friday the 13th, and 5 through 8 still look superior in the new set to me. Yeah, I think you left a comment on my most recent review, or actually it's not technically a review. I'm just showcasing the Blu-ray of part 7 of the recently released Scream Factory version. And you did in fact say that 7 looks better on that, which would only make sense because it's got its own disc. So one would hope that Scream/Shout Factory would author it in a higher bit rate or all this and that kind of stuff. The reason I didn't, not planning, or at least during the winter, to review any more past 6 is just because I just wanted to. I shot all those videos in November and December. I just wanted to get the stuff shot. Like if I'd still be watching this stuff now, and I wanted to get the reviews up and this and that. My intention was to pretty much just review the first 6 and leave it at that. But I'm too OCD for that. So I'm like, well, we'll just showcase the other ones in here, because maybe not everyone has had a chance to see the disc art and the reversible art and all this kind of stuff. Austin Wilcutt says Scream Factory fixed the aspect ratios as well, and finally the original, mono/stereo tracks. Exactly. And as you've also said in comments from my reviews of those particular releases, it is amazing how like the original stereo can in a lot of cases sound better than the super duper quote unquote 5.1 remixes and stuff that they've done on the titles and whatever it was, 09 or whatever, when they remastered them or whatever. But I guess it depends, obviously, who the hell's doing 5.1. I mean, Full Moon Blu-rays have quote unquote 5.1, and it's probably the worst 5.1 you're ever going to find, which is more or less just the stereo, like Pro Logic surround sound that's pretending to be 5.1, and then there's like world-class remixes and stuff. So I guess it all depends on who the hell is doing the remixing. But personally, I'm the kind of person who, like, if a movie came out in the theater and was originally mixed in mono, that's kind of the way I want to be able to see it. And that's the way I kind of feel like it should be seen. Or if a movie was originally released in stereo or ultra stereo, that's how I feel like it should be seen. So He says Scream Factory even restored the theatrical stereo track for The Fly 86. Some sound effects are missing in the newer 5.1. Yeah, I think you mentioned that in a comment in one of my recent videos, and I'm definitely familiar with. I got that on DVD, but I'm not a huge Fly 86 fan. But it's just such a bummer when they do. And then back to my other topic of just 5.1 remixes of movies and horror movies. It's just such a bummer when they change things, because as I've said on so many of my reviews and Blu-ray reviews, it's if you grow up with a movie and you hear it the same way for decades and then they change something, it's just like, oh man, it's just a bummer. Oh, this Mr. Tight Wide asks, why is the screen black? Because this is Huge Movie Fanatics Radio, and in radio, it's just audio only. Austin Wilcutt says, hopefully we can get a Nightmare set with original tracks and a few director's cuts. Yeah, a lot of people are saying after, the Friday the 13th collection was released or announced / released, that Nightmare on Elm Street would be the next best thing. And I'm obviously, me being a Friday the 13th fan, and more so, I'm kind of happy with that. And I'm not, I can definitely say for Nightmare on Elm Street fans that would be definitely good for them, but it's not something that I really need. But I personally think the Blu-rays that New Line did of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies look fine. The only thing I guess I would like to have is, like, since we've got a 3D version of Friday 3 finally, we could actually have that 3D part of Freddy's Dead in actual normal real 3D would be really cool. Austin Wilcutt says, I do have the old New Line Nightmare set from 1999 with the 3D glasses. Exactly. I got that. I got that as well. And I think the 5.1s they did on the Nightmare on Elm Street movies for that set, I don't know if it's the same 5.1s that are on the Blu-rays or not, but I thought that back in the day, those were some really, really good 5.1s, where it's like, I didn't feel like, I'm not as familiar with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies as Friday the 13th, but to me, I don't remember it feeling like they really, changed the sound around, or, anything missing from how I knew those movies growing up and stuff. The 5.1s of the Nightmare on Elm Street from the first DVD releases, in my opinion, are the soundtracks are really, really good. And that's why I'm kind of okay with the Blu-ray version or the collection of the Nightmare movies that's out right now. Austin Wilcutt says Kino needs to release Creature 1985 on Blu-ray soon. I mean, I agree, that's a movie that definitely needs to be on Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in my review I did. Was it last year? I'm a little interested why you picked Kino, though. Not that it's a bad thing. They've been doing a lot of great stuff recently, like with Deep Star 6 and Killdozer. Those are titles that I've got and plan to review later on this spring. But they've been doing some really, really great releases and surprising titles lately. And just as a little tease for my Killdozer Blu-ray review, I mean, holy crap. If you go to blue-ray.com and look at the reviews, I think they gave both video and audio a perfect score, and I agree, man. That Blu-ray, they knocked it out of the park. Austin says the 5.1 Nightmare DVDs sound fantastic. I was surprised. Exactly. I mean, that was 1999, and I was like, holy crap, that stuff sounds good. Almost sounds like Blu-ray. Austin says Kino seems like a studio that would release Creature, maybe Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know. I hear you. I was just curious as why you picked Kino. Yeah, it's kind of like fantasy football, where it's just kind of like, who would, what movie that's not on Blu-ray yet would you like to see released or who would you like to see put out the movies that you want on Blu-ray? You know, like for me, like Summer Camp Nightmare or something that I can see like Scream Factory doing for some reason, you know, and like The Demon from 1979, I feel like that could be done by Arrow Video, just like The Slayer, stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting, like, you know, it's just like who's going to end up doing these titles and how does that work? And yeah, it's nerdy and goofy or whatever, but it's kind of fun. Yeah, I'm just realizing that I'm just kind of waiting for the next comment. And I should probably be talking while I'm waiting for it, but I can't say at this point that I necessarily feel like I'm going to go for, you know, an extra 30 minutes. I might go, we're at the 30-minute mark now, so maybe I'll go another 15 minutes. Austin says maybe Vestron could do The Creature, but I don't see them getting the rights. Arrow would be the best. Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess I just assume probably Arrow Video do almost everything. You know, I really like Arrow Video. It's just a bummer when they do like a release or something that's amazing and it's, you know, they don't have the rights to distribute it in the United States. It's just like, oh man. Austin says Vestron did Bud the Chud. Yeah, exactly. I can honestly say that I still don't have that and probably don't plan to get it. To some of you people who might be watching after later on after this broadcast, he's referring to Chud 2, of course, which I do have on I do have on VHS, and then I think I've got like a DVD compilation that has it on as well. But I haven't seen Chud 2 for quite a long time, and you can probably, anyone who knows anything about the movie can understand why. Austin says Arrow would put both versions of Creature on there too. Austin says Chud 1 was good though, exactly, and I was so freaking just, you know, excited and happy when they, you know, announced and released the Blu-ray back in, man, it seems like it's been a long time now. Was that 16 or 17? The Chud Blu-ray. The only thing that's a bummer about it is they kind of screwed up. I guess they didn't really know about the audio from the R-rated version that was added after the fact, the quote unquote humorous little bit. It's not a big deal, but it's just one of those things that, you know, once again, having grown up with the original version of the movie or whatever, the media VHS tape version, where that homeless guy is mumbling and they put that joke of, you know, someone having indigestion on the other line of the woman who's on the phone or whatever. Oh my gosh, Austin says, I need to get that Arrow Chud Blu-ray. Yes, you do if you don't have it. Holy crap. I would have thought you would have had it, but yeah, I would definitely recommend that. That's got the two cuts, you know, the unrated or the extended one that was on the Anchor Bay DVD that came out, which was great. And then they tried to do. I don't know if they got a print of the theatrical version or what, but there's a quote unquote theatrical version on there as well. And I was just talking about the whatchamacallit, there's some like quote unquote humorous lines that at somewhere along the line were added to that version, and they're not in their quote unquote theatrical version of Chud on the Blu-ray. So it's a bummer, but it's not the end of the world. Austin says I need Arrow's Children of the Corn as well. I'm not the biggest fan of Children of the Corn. I do have that. I ended up finding it previously viewed, and I thought, oh, I think it was a pretty decent price, so I scooped it up. But I would, that one looks really, really great as well. And I think, I want to say some of the special features are pretty cool, and they're like visiting the location that they filmed, like in Iowa. They filmed the movie and stuff, and what places look like now, and that goofy ass spot with that yellow flagpole in the middle of the street is like still there, I think, and that's just really kind of cool. Austin says I do have Arrow's Creepshow 2 limited edition. That's cool. I'm not a huge Creepshow 1 or 2 fan myself, but that's cool. I think it's pretty much just you and me on this video. Austin says, and Arrow's RoboCop. Holy crap, the transfer looks great. Yeah, I've gotten so many versions of RoboCop over the years. It's not even funny. I got the Criterion Laserdisc in the 90s, and that was the first time that, oh my God, that movie looked and sounded just so great. And I think that was the first time anyone had ever put out the quote unquote unrated version. The sound work they did on the adding the extra gore scenes onto it was really, really sloppy, though. But the Criterion Laserdisc, and then the Criterion would actually put that same scan and stuff on DVD, which, so I got both of those, and then, yeah. And I think I got the MGM DVD, but yeah, I got the Arrow RoboCop as well. I think I got the Steelbook because I actually don't like the newly commissioned cover art, but I think I ended up getting the Steelbook. It was like, I didn't know if I was going to buy it, but I ended up getting it for like $20. It just seemed like it was a ridiculously cheap price, so I snatched it up, and it's definitely, obviously the best version to have on Blu-ray. And then it's got, I think, doesn't it have the TV version or something in standard definition on it? It's just so funny, to see the swear words and stuff, what they did with them. Austin says, I just bought Arrow's Tremors 2, another great transfer. Yeah, my mom has the original Universal Blu-ray, which is notoriously, DNR massacred or whatever, and I can confirm it's just like you can't see any grain. It doesn't even look like it's on film. But yeah, I bet the Tremors Blu-ray looks amazing. Austin says, Arrow also included the theatrical cut of RoboCop on the disc 2, the TV version as well, which is hilarious to watch. Exactly. Austin says, actually, Arrow remastered the TV version too. I guess I wasn't aware of that. That's kind of cool. I think I'm pretty sure there's a video on YouTube where you can just see like the RoboCop swear words compared to the theatrical version, like the theatrical version and then the TV edit. That's probably the quickest and easiest way to see all the changes. It's just so freaking funny how they could ever make that movie viewable for TV viewing is just amazing. You think in theory it would be 15 minutes long, but I guess they did it. Austin says, I've seen the Thing TV version on the Shout Factory disc. It's terrible. Meaning what? The quality or just what they did to it? I can remember watching the Thing on TV, and it's like that bit where the guy's neck, the head, pulls off and turns into a spider. I think it's like they didn't even cut any of it out. I couldn't believe they put that on TV. That's back when I was a kid, and it's freaked me out. Austin says, I want the TBS version of Die Hard 2 on Blu-ray as well. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Yes, I realize I'm just being quiet. That's because my mouth is dry. That's another thing I could have ready is a bottle of water and a topic list for, your throat and mouth and to keep the dead air not so dead as I'm in between thoughts or whatever. Austin says the Thing TV version on there was heavily edited primetime version with most of the FX cutout, and yes, terrible quality. Interesting. Maybe there's more than one TV version because I can remember, I think in the late 80s recording a version off TV, and, I wasn't familiar with the movie at the time, but like I said, I can remember that scene where the head peels off and turns into the spider, they showed a lot. And when subsequently when I've seen it again, it's like, I don't think anything was cut. So they could be very well, maybe there's, late night cuts of stuff. I don't know how the hell the TV edits of movies work. That's kind of a fascinating subject. Yeah, it's kind of funny because even though the Arrow Video Blu-ray of, RoboCop has the TV version on it, and it's really cool that it's on there, it's like I've never watched it, or I don't know if I ever will, because it's like, yeah, low quality or whatever. But once again, the best way to see the TV edits is just to look at that comparison video on YouTube. Austin says, well, the TBS version of Die Hard 2 is notorious for its really crap overdubbing and censorship. It's hilarious. There's clips on YouTube of it. What does TBS stand for? Yes, I know I'm not talking. I'm giving myself a rest. Austin says, honestly, I'm not sure. Well, I can live with that. That's cool. Austin, have you heard of the upcoming Blu-ray of The Forest? Are you familiar with The Forest from 1982? Don Jones' quote-unquote masterwork of a hermit living in the woods and killing people and eating them with his two ghost children that live with him. Yeah. Austin says, I haven't seen The Forest. Well, you know, if you like cheese horror movies in the woods and stuff, I'd recommend it. Hopefully maybe someone put it on YouTube or something like that. But it's something that I saw when I was, I think, 15 or 16 years old. I bought a tape from a video store, and it just was just like, oh my God, this is right up my alley, and I've been a huge fan ever since. Austin says, but I'll see it if I can find it. Yeah, hopefully, you know, hopefully it's on YouTube or something like that. Maybe not the DVD or Blu-ray version, but maybe someone put a VHS version on YouTube. But it's just one of those movies that I just have such a near and dear to my heart, because it's just like, The Forest to me is like a perfect example of like just the cheese schlock kind of movies I like, and from the era I love. It's just really great. Austin says, I watched The Prey not too long ago and The Final Terror. Yeah, I think The Forest personally is better than both of those movies. The Prey I just rewatched recently, and I can't believe I bought it. It's just like so boring. And The Final Terror I think is better than The Prey in my opinion. I don't know. I think it's more competent. Like The Prey out of all three, in my opinion, is like just the most boring. And you know, not that it doesn't have good parts, but in my opinion, out of all three, The Prey and The Final Terror and The Forest, I think The Forest is the superior film in my opinion. Austin said, I also watched Dolly Dearest on YouTube. That's cool. Was it, did someone put up the Vinegar Syndrome version, or was it like just VHS or quality? I'm a fan of Dolly Dearest. I kind of grew up with that. And I think it's for what it is, it's a competent little Child's Play rip-off / spin-off / whatever the hell you want to call it. But obviously I've reviewed the movie and Blu-ray last year of the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray. It looks just, oh my God, so much better than it ever deserved to look. Austin says, I think Daryl Hannah is in Final Terror, very early role. That's correct. I think she's in it for quite a decent amount of time, like, I don't know, the first 30 minutes or something like that. One of her first movies, and this other chick who would go on to be in at the same time was in Night School, and Rachel Ward is also in it as well. She was kind of more of a name in the early 80s and mid 80s, and I don't know, I don't feel like Rachel Ward had a very long career, but she was really hot. And one of the movies I know her best from is Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, and she's just like, oh my God, really hot in that. And of course you get to see her like kind of naked or topless in Night School or whatever. Austin says Dolly Dearest on YouTube was just a VHS rip way before the VS released. Okay, well that's cool. At least you get the idea of it that way. Austin says, I think Final Terror is out of print now too. I think you're right. Yeah. Do you have the Final Terror Blu-ray, or you just saw it like online or something? Well, it looks like we're, basically almost at the 45-minute mark. So we'll probably do an hour, Austin. So I'll probably be on here for like 15 more minutes. And then I'll probably bid you and everyone else watching after the fact adieu for now. Austin says, yeah, I like Dolly Dearest. Good Child's Play knockoff. Right on. I definitely agree. And Austin says, no, I don't have Final Terror. That's a bummer. It's a bummer when stuff goes out of print and one hasn't had a chance to get it yet or whatever. Like I always was lazy on the Scarecrow's Blu-ray and I never got it. Now it's out of print and I wish I got it, and it's just like, He says, but I'll probably find it somewhere. That's cool. So I suppose we could probably go for 15 more minutes and then I'll probably leave it at that. For anyone who's watching this after the fact, after it's, uploaded and just exists on YouTube after the fact, oh my gosh, I got to get better at like having stuff to talk about until people show up, because I actually kind of feel embarrassed. I think I did better on my first video with like the first few minutes. It seemed like people showed up right away though, but I kind of feel embarrassed about the first, I don't know, 10 minutes or so of this particular broadcast. But once again, this live streaming thing is completely new to me. Austin says a bunch of MGM Scream Factory Blu-rays went out of print last year. I had to buy a bunch at once. Yeah, that's a bummer. Did you end up getting the Blu-ray double feature of Slumber Party Massacre 2 and 3? Because that thing is out of print now, and I'm so glad I got that. He says, I snagged Monkey Shines and Pumpkinhead 2 for under 30 or 20 bucks. Well, that's cool. It's really a bummer when stuff goes out of print, and you haven't had a chance to get stuff. I try not to, based on that history or whatever, I try not to sleep on stuff as much these days, because it's like you feel like things are just going to be out there forever, and that's not the case. Austin says, no, I missed Slumber Party Massacre. Damn it. I'm assuming you're talking about 2 and 3, because you can still get the first one, which I would highly recommend doing. Do you have the first one on Blu-ray? There's now 2 different versions of that. The original Blu-ray from 2012, I want to say, and then they just last year released a new 4K scan of it with this steelbook, which is horrible. I just hate the artwork on these steelbooks they've been putting out, and the fonts are all just like the same font and so boring. Like someone who has no artistic ability is making these fonts. It's like, what the hell is going on? But I got that last year along with the action figure, and I meant to review it, but I just there's so much to review, so little time. I plan to talk about that release only a year later, sometime later on this spring, or late winter, early spring. But if you don't have the first, the first Slumber Party Massacre is my favorite, so that one you can still get, and I would highly recommend getting that if you don't have it yet. But he says, but I do have the Scream Factory double features of Ghoulies, Troll, and the Curse, Dungeon Master, Exterminators, Cellar Dweller, and Catacombs. Yeah, I grew up with Exterminators, so I've got that one. I'm not a huge fan of Ghoulies or the Troll. So the only one I have of the ones you listed off is the Dungeon Master and Exterminators. Exterminators is some really, really fun stuff. Great Terminator ripoff. Austin says, no, I don't have the first Slumber Party, but I'm going to get it soon. I'm going to get the 4K scan steelbook. Yeah. Obviously, probably the one to get. They cleaned up it's not that much different than the first one. The only thing I could really notice is like they really cleaned up a lot of the artifacts and stuff. Like when the movie begins, like compared to the first Blu-ray, you can really tell they cleaned up a lot of the specks and dust and dirt and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, Slumber Party Massacre is just one of probably my favorite movies, because I think it's a perfect example of just like TNA exploitative. Just even though it doesn't have a lot of TNA, but I don't know. It's a movie that's just so near and dear to my heart. It's just one of my all-time favorite slashers, and just movies in general, because I just think what it does is so perfect, and it just takes the thing that Halloween did and just it's just so funny. When I first saw it, I didn't necessarily love the killer and the guy's portrayal of the killer, but that's grown on me over the years, and the drill, and it's just like, the drill being this phallic symbol for the Slumber Party, and it's just like, oh man, it's just so great. Austin says, I also have the Night of the Demons and the Thing Steelbook. That's cool. He says, I have the Howling 2 Scream Factory Blu-ray. That's getting pretty expensive now. Well, that's cool. I can only assume, have you seen Slumber Party Massacre at all, or have you not seen it? Because it's a hoot, definitely, or at least in my opinion. And just to let you know, we've probably got 10 more minutes before I sign off. It's late. It's after midnight in my neck of the woods, so we'll probably leave the stream at 10 minutes, or in 10 minutes. Well, it's 9 minutes and 30 seconds at this point. But I'm surprised that I made it this far in without a glass of water. I don't know if you guys, well, presumably more people are going to watch this after the fact, but I don't know how my voice and throat sounds without a drink of water. Yeah, one of the biggest bummer things about, our fandom of, collecting Blu-rays and stuff is, as we were saying before, or as I was saying before, the aspect of things going out of print. And a lot of times I didn't even know about stuff until after it's out of print. It's like, oh my God. I think that's how it was with the first Forest Blu-ray. Like, I didn't even know it was out, and it was out of print already. Austin says, I've seen the first 2 Slumber Party films. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, the first one is just beyond classic, and 2 is my least favorite of the 3, and then 3 I think is much better than 2. But I mean, the sequels, in my opinion, don't come close to the first one. But 3 is goofy in a different kind of just like, oh my God, different kind of a way. Austin says, I've been eyeing all the films Blu-ray of Witchboard 2. Okay. I'm pretty sure I've got the first Blu-ray of that. I can't remember. Is it Witchboard? I don't even remember. Something like that I think I've reviewed. I don't know if it's Witchboard or not. I don't know right now. Austin says, I have their Night /Demons 2 Blu-ray. I don't know what the Night /Demons 2 is, but I'm glad it looks fantastic. Oh, do you mean Night of the Demons 2, do you mean? Possibly. I know, there's so many yeah, it might be Witchcraft. Whatever it is, it's a Scream Factory release. It might be that. I don't think it's Witch House, but it might be Witchcraft. It could be Witchboard. I don't know. It's got the one with that creepy looking guy in it with the beard or whatever. So I don't know. He says, yes, Night of the Demons 2. I was just shortening it. That's understandable. I didn't know that Night of the Demons 2 was on Blu-ray. That's my favorite of the 2 movies. That's kind of cool. I don't think I'd need it on Blu-ray though, but you may have mentioned that in the comments in the past. It seems like the familiar information. Witch House 1 through 3 is Full Moon. Okay, the thing I got's definitely not that. It's either Witchboard or Witchcraft. I think I do have Witchboard on Blu-ray. I don't know. so many movies and so few brainwaves or whatever. But we're coming up on T-minus 6 minutes until the end of the stream. So I guess we kind of start our closing words. But thank you very much, Austin, for showing up. And like I say, if I do these moving forward or whatever, the plan is to hopefully let people know like 12 hours or 24 hours in advance, so they can, if they want to show up, they can have more of a chance of doing so. But this was just a random stream. Austin says, yeah, probably Witchboard if the killer has a beard. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I got the Blu-ray of Witchboard, the first one, which I think I'm pretty sure if that's the title, I'm I'm talking about. I reviewed the movie and the Blu-ray on this channel maybe 2 or 3 years ago at this point. Exactly. He says it's also late at night and everyone's in bed. That's true, but I was thinking, well, what about the people like on the other side of the country or whatever, daytime or something like other side of the world. I mean, it's daytime for them or whatever. So I thought maybe I could get some other people that didn't have a chance to show up during the other one here, but whatever. So far, as far as people showing up, my first attempt during early afternoon USA time was more successful, but I'll definitely try to make streams known more in advance. Austin says, "Do you have Nightbreed on Blu-ray?" I do not. I got just the DVD. I know that they put out a great version of it. I don't even know who it was anymore. Was it? I think it's Scream Factory. Yeah, but I'm not the hugest Nightbreed fan, so I never got that. But I don't know much about it, but I got just the DVD that came out whenever the hell that was. But I just saw it not so long ago, like, I don't know, a year or two ago, and it's kind of fun to revisit it. Yes, I know I'm not talking. That's because I'm thinking about nothing. Austin says, I have the theatrical cut of Nightbreed on DVD too, and the Cabal cut on another blue. How many? Is there just 2 cuts? I've heard of the Cabal cut. So is there just 2 cuts of Nightbreed, or is it more than 2? And does the Cabal cut better than the theatrical cut, in your opinion? I've only seen the theatrical. Austin says, so 3 versions I do own of Nightbreed. Are there 3 cuts then? And yes, I know I'm being quiet again. Austin says, there's 3 versions of Nightbreed. Yes, the DC and Cabal cut are much better. Well, that's good to hear. Oh, director's cut. Yeah, that's one thing that I took away watching it when I did, whenever it was, a few years ago now, is that it like starts really well, and it seems like it's definitely tinkered with by the studio or whatever, which I'm sure is the case. And it's just like, oh man, and the music, I don't remember the music being so great in that. That's really great. But I think it's Danny Elfman, if memory serves, or whatever. Austin says, definitely worth getting. That's very good to know. Is that thing out of print? Seems like it's been out for a while. You'd think it'd be out of print now. Yes, I know I'm not saying anything. Austin says Cabal cut is out of print and very hard to get. Yeah, figures. That's okay. I'm okay with the direct, with the whatever theatrical cut, original cut, normal cut DVD I have, because I don't watch it very often or whatever. But Austin says the director's cut is still in print though. Oh, okay. So in your opinion, so is the Cabal cut, which is the best cut? Cabal cut? It's like backwards question. I'm backwards Q&A. I'm asking the guy in chat questions. That's okay. There's no rules. No rules here. Austin says Cabal cut is the best in my opinion. Well, that's cool. Yes, I know I'm not talking. I'm waiting to see if this other person here that I see is going to say anything. Otherwise, I'll probably probably sign off very soon here. Austin says Cabal Cut was a sort of work print for the director's cut version. It looks like our other person may have left. So I think, Austin, I think that'll pretty much do it for me on this particular live stream. For now, Austin says Cabal Cut was shown at Comic Cons back in the day. Very cool. Well, that definitely sounds like the version to have. So thank you very much, Austin, for showing up and participating in the chat. Like you say, probably everyone's in bed. I just thought I'd try a stream at this particular time and see if anyone showed up. I guess someone did. Thank you very much for doing so. And I feel like the frickin' first one was better than this. Like I was just like ill prepared and I didn't have a glass of water and all this and that. But like you say, or like we say, or like I say, you know, what the hell? Nothing's perfect or whatever. And I just, oh my gosh. So I guess that'll pretty much do it. Thanks a lot for stopping by once again and participating. We'll probably do more of these in the future. As I said, moving forward, if I do more of these or whatever, I'll try to make it a little more more known in advance that it's going to happen, so people can show, you know, if they want to plan to show up or whatever, can do so. So we'll definitely see you in the comments and stuff and videos and stuff in the future, I'm assuming. So thank you very much for showing up, and we'll see you next time.